This is a Valtierra Alcorta family altar. This is my family. My name is Rosemary Valtierra Hinojosa. I'm a board member of the Dallas Mexican American Historical League, and I'm coordinating the 2020 exhibit this year. Every year, we select a theme that coincides with a particular anniversary, event, or commemoration. This year is a very significant year, a very sad year, because we are all enduring and living through the 2020 coronavirus pandemic, just like our ancestors suffered and lived through the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. My grandfather, Viviano Alcorta, my mother's father, remembers that he would see wagons with bodies, many wagons and many bodies, driving down the dusty farm roads in Somerset, Texas, carrying all those loved ones to their final destination place. This year, we dedicate our exhibit to all the families, especially the Latino families, that have suffered with coronavirus or lost a loved one to coronavirus. We honor them, we remember them, as we do our ancestors who lived through the 1918 pandemic. Dia de los Muertos altars usually include 4 basic elements of life. The first one is wind, which represents the fragility of life, and is represented by the papel picado, delicately cut out papel picado in the background. Another element is fire, which is represented by the candles here in the form of a cross. A third one is the earth, from which our food comes. And the fourth one is water, represented by the drinks here on this altar. Dia de los Muertos altars also include items and mementos and favorite foods of the loved ones that have passed on. Complex altars have about 7 levels, but all you need is 2 levels. The top level, the highest level, represents the sky or heaven. And on the bottom level, where you put all the mementos and foods, represent the earth. On the top level, you would see religious symbols such as the Santo or the Virgin. This Virgin belonged to my mother. When she passed, I brought it home. The crucifix here at the highest level is the crucifix that was given to us when our father passed away. Other items that are traditional to Dia de los Muertos altars are fanciful skeletons, like the Katrina here, elegantly dressed, and her tuxedoed escort, as well as the skeleton drawing behind the Virgen. You also have marigold flowers, and include mariposas or monarch butterflies, such as this one in these in the vase, and the ones on the dress of the Dia de los Muertos Barbie. Last year, Mattel Toy Company came out with a first ever Dia de los Muertos Barbie. It was a big seller, a big hit. This particular Dia de los Muertos Barbie is going to my only granddaughter. These are my parents, Francisco and Serapia Valtierra. Francisco came to the United States in 1908. He was a farm laborer. He married my mother as a widower, and together they had 4 children. He had a very prosperous 25-acre farm where his peanuts and watermelons were big sellers in and around San Antonio and Somerset. However, when the extreme drought of the 1950s hit, he was forced to sell his farm and look for jobs elsewhere. He found construction jobs in and around Texas and Oklahoma. And in 1956, he moved our family to the West Dallas barrio of Ledbetter. These were his parents and my mother's parents. My mother's parents are on the right, Viviano and Tomasa Alcorta. Viviano was a police officer in Mexico, but when the Mexican Revolution began, he was endangered, so he and his family fled in 1913 to the United States, where he became a farm laborer in Somerset, Texas. These are my father's parents, Magdaleno and Brígida Valtierra. Magdaleno and Brígida were the same age, which is very unusual because back in the 1800s and possibly even before that, husbands were usually 10 to 20 years older than their wives. It was very unusual to find somebody of the same age marrying. They lived in the same areas of the Hacienda Cienega de Mata in Ojuelos or near Ojuelos, Jalisco. They emigrated to the United States in 1908. In the Hacienda, they were farm laborers also, raising crops like maize and beans. My mother and my father were very devout Catholics, very religious, more so my mother. She prayed the rosary frequently and read from her booklets of prayers daily. Those are her eyeglasses. And her voter registration card. My mother was a very loyal voter. I would read the positions of each candidate to her, and then she would select the one she thought was best for the job and take her voter registration with her to go vote. This year, 2020, is the most critical election year of our lifetime. Some say it's the most important since 1864. My mother would have voted this year if she was still alive. This is the wire whisk or egg beater that she used, and the plancha de tortillas, or the corn tortilla presser. She would roll up the dough in a little ball, put it inside the presser, press the handle hard, and out would come a beautifully round corn tortilla. This is the rolling pin that she used for her flour tortillas. Her specialty dishes were, or her specialty foods were tortillas and tamales. People said that they were the most delicious they had ever eaten. She was a wonderful and a very ingenious cook. She could make something, whip it up in no time flat. She also sewed. This is an example of one of the quilt pieces that she left behind. Her sewing thimble, little round container that contains her sewing needles, and yarn. She used to sew, she used to knit, she used to crochet. The bonnet and the miniature washboard represent the hard life that she had as a young woman, helping her family out in the fields. As one of the elder children, she helped to supplement the family income. During the hot days, having to wear a bonnet to keep out the hot sun, and cold winter days. And other times, she would wash the heavy farm uniforms of the farmers in Somerset, Texas, for many hours a day at 50 cents a day. This is my father's Lone Star beer, his favorite beer. Whenever he went to order a beer, he would say, "Dame una estrella," give me a star. The Big Red cold drink, the apple, and the payday candy bar symbolize the Christmas presents that he gave us every year in a brown paper bag. That was all he could afford during the lean years. But it was very special to us, and it's special today. This is my family altar. I honor my immigrant ancestors, and I dedicate this to all immigrant parents, grandparents, and ancestors who, through their hard labor, their work, their love, and their sacrifice, made a better life for us, an easier life for us here in the United States. And especially to all the families that have lost loved ones due to the 2020 coronavirus. We honor you and we remember them. Thank you.